7 game-changing moves to make him begging for more. Hey ladies, you ever think about what makes a guy go from just being curious about you to being totally hooked? Like, how does he go from kind of interested to not being able to get you off his mind? If you're still stuck in the universe of awkward dates and keep overthinking every little thing, trust me, I've been there too. We've all heard the old advice 1,000 times, and I've got to say, most of it's useless. It's like focusing on surface stuff that honestly doesn't even matter. Here's the deal, though. It's not about some get-him-quick gimmick. It's more about changing up how you carry yourself. Yeah, so the real magic, it's about how you make him feel and how solid your boundaries are. There's this amazing video I saw that digs into this, and it talks about 7 major moves that'll create genuine attraction. I'm not kidding. Forget the cheesy pickup lines and dumb games. This is about getting real with principles that go back to like Stoicism and understanding human behavior better. This stuff isn't just about some dude chasing after you either. It's about owning your own self-worth. Imagine like totally stepping into who you are and owning every inch of it. It's about becoming that woman he can't stop thinking about, not because you're running after him, but because you've become this powerhouse of high value. Bonus, these changes don't only get his head spinning around you, they also help you completely fall in love with yourself. Ready for a change? Let's dive into the first game changer that will make guys see you differently. Step 1, the power of walking away and how it attracts him. Here's a question for you. Have you ever found yourself sticking around in a relationship longer than you really wanted to because the thought of being solo seemed too much to handle? Maybe you've let him slide with behavior that made you feel less than amazing, simply because you couldn't imagine being without him. If this rings true, trust me, you're not by yourself. But here's the truth. The second you start freaking out about a relationship ending, you hand over your power. Dudes are programmed to admire strength and independence. It's not about being icy or cut off. It's about knowing your high value so fiercely that you're ready to walk if he's not stepping up to your level. This goes beyond just dating. This is stoicism in action, staying anchored in your self-worth no matter how he acts. Picture yourself with a guy who's acting distant or hot and cold. Instead of clinging to the fantasy that he'll magically transform, you confidently lay down your expectations. I value honesty and effort, and it feels like we're not vibing the same way. I'm ready to peace out if that's what's best for both of us. Feel the power in saying that? You're not pleading with him to stick around. You're proving that your happiness isn't tied to his approval. When you nail this practice, something amazing happens. He starts seeing you in a new light. He begins to realize your time, attention, and super chill presence are to be earned, not just given. And here's where it gets real. When you're willing to walk, he's way more likely to step up. Why? Because people naturally chase what they fear losing. They value what they feel is rare. But let me ask you this. Are you ready to prioritize yourself, to stop settling for anything less than you deserve? This doesn't mean bailing at the first hiccup. It means setting down clear boundaries and following through when those boundaries are stepped over. Remember, relationships are about give and take. If he's not meeting you in the middle, walking away isn't surrendering. It's clearing the way for something better. Let's think for a sec. Recall a time when you lingered in a situation that did nothing for you. How'd that feel? Did a little bit of your confidence ebb away each time you settled for less? Now envision how electrifying it would be to declare, I'm worth more than this, and act like it. Walking away isn't just a brave move, it's self-love in action. It says, I trust my choices to reflect my high value. And guess what? Guys respect a high-value woman who's got self-respect. They're drawn to the quiet, calm confidence of someone who doesn't need them but picks them. So how does this play out in real life? First, pinpoint what you simply cannot compromise on. Is it him not putting in effort, dishonesty, emotional shutdown? Whatever it is, get clear on it. Then communicate those boundaries in a chill, confident way. If he crosses them, don't just talk the talk about leaving. Be ready to roll. This isn't about giving him a hard time. It's about honoring yourself. Here's the beauty when you embrace this. Even if he doesn't shape up, you're still winning. Why? Because you freed yourself up to attract someone who's all in, who appreciates your high value and treats you right. That's why this move is so game-changing. It's not just about snagging his love, it's about deeply loving yourself first. Before we jump to the next part, let me leave you with this thought. What's one part of your life where you've been hesitant to enforce your boundaries? How would it feel to reclaim your power in that area? Step 2. Transform your focus into a VIP experience. Let me ask you this. How many times have you felt like you're giving everything in a relationship? Your time, your energy, your emotional support, only to feel like you're being taken for granted. Maybe you're always the one making plans, checking in, or keeping the connection alive. It's exhausting, isn't it? And deep down, it makes you wonder, why isn't he matching my effort? Here's the answer. When you give your attention away too freely, it loses its value. Think about it. If you had unrestricted access to something, would you cherish it as much as something rare and special? Probably not. That's why one of the most powerful acts you can embrace is learning to treasure your attention. Men are naturally drawn to a high-value woman who commands respect not by demanding it, but by living in a way that shows their time is precious. When you prioritize yourself, your goals, and your passions, you send a clear message. My attention is a privilege, not a guarantee. Now let's break this down. What does it look like to value your attention? First, focus on your life. Ask yourself, what lights you up? What are the goals, hobbies, or dreams you've been putting off because you've been so focused on him? When you channel your energy into building a life you love, something incredible happens. You naturally become magnetic. Your energy shifts from seeking validation to radiating confidence, and trust me, men feel that difference. And so valuing your attention isn't just about self-growth. It's about how you interact with him, too. Here's where the magic happens. When you're not always immediately available, you create a sense of intrigue. Men start to wonder, why isn't she texting me back right away? What is she up to? This isn't about playing games. It's about showing you have a rich, full life that doesn't revolve around him. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're in the early stages of dating. He texts you, and instead of dropping everything to reply, you take your time. Maybe you're at the gym, hanging out with friends, or working on a passion project. When you finally respond, it's warm and engaging, but you're not overcompensating or trying too hard. That simple act of delayed gratification creates an air of mystery. He'll start to see you as someone who's confident, independent, and worth pursuing. Here's the thing. Valuing your attention doesn't mean being cold or distant. It's about balance. Show interest, but don't overinvest. Let him take the lead sometimes. And if he's not putting in the effort, resist the urge to pick up the slack. Instead, redirect that energy back into yourself. This approach is deeply rooted in the idea that your worth isn't determined by external validation, but by how you value yourself. By focusing on what you can control, your time, your boundaries, and your energy, you become unshakable, and that inner strength is irresistible. Let's be real. Valuing your attention takes practice. It requires breaking old habits and learning to say no to behaviors that drain you. So here's a challenge for you. The next time you feel tempted to overextend yourself, pause and ask, is this person earning my attention? If the answer is no, it's time to pull back and refocus on what truly matters. Now let's make this fun. If you're loving this video so far and you're ready to start valuing your attention, like this video and comment below. Your engagement means the world to me, and it helps us build this incredible community of high-value women. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey of empowerment and transformation. Let's keep the momentum going. Are you ready for the next act? Stay tuned because it only gets better from here. Step 3. Master your emotions. Transform your relationships. Have you ever caught yourself staring at your phone, just waiting for him to reach out? Maybe you're hoping for a message or just a sign that he's thinking of you. Have you ever felt like your entire day hinges on the amount of attention he gives you? If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. Plenty of high-value women slip into emotional dependency without even noticing it. The truth is, when a guy feels like he's the keeper of your happiness, it's a total turnoff. But a high-value woman who is her own fountain of joy, that's magnetic. Emotional independence isn't just some trendy phrase. It's a way of life. It's about mastering your feelings so that your peace and happiness don't rely on someone else's actions. Let's be real, isn't that what everyone truly craves? A relationship where love is given freely, not something hoarded out of fear or insecurity. Emotional independence is rooted in Stoic philosophy, teaching us that our happiness should spring from within, not from outside influencers. When you live by this, you become that radiant, confident woman who doesn't need a man to feel complete, but chooses to share her amazing life with him because she wants to, not because she needs to. That kind of energy, it's irresistible. Take a moment to think. Remember a time when you felt hooked on someone's approval or attention. How did it feel when they didn't give you what you needed? Anxious? Doubtful? Now flip the script. Picture yourself feeling so secure in your self-worth that his attention is just the cherry on top, not the main course. How liberating is that? To nurture emotional independence, start by recognizing your emotional triggers. Do you notice anxiety creeping in when he doesn't text back instantly? Does your mood drop if he acts distant? Instead of spiraling into doubt, pause. Remind yourself, his actions don't define my worth. I'm enough just as I am. This is where Dark Stoic Psychology comes into play. When you manage your emotional reactions, you reclaim the power you might have handed over. Think of it like this. Every time you let someone else's actions sway your mood, you're giving up control over your inner peace. But when you learn to stay calm, no matter what, you send a clear message. I am the master of my emotions. Picture this scenario. You're seeing someone and things are going great, then suddenly he seems to retreat. Texts become infrequent and his focus seems to drift. The emotionally dependent version of you might freak out, wondering what you did wrong, wanting to fix it. But the emotionally independent you, no panic. You mirror his energy, stay focused on your own goals and passions. You're subtly showing him that your world doesn't revolve around him. What usually happens? 9 times out of 10, he comes back. Why? Because emotional independence is alluring. It tells him you're confident, secure, and not easily shaken. Men admire women who can hold their own emotionally. And if he doesn't come back, that's cool too, because a high-value woman knows her peace isn't up for negotiation, and the right guy will appreciate her strength. Emotional independence is also about self-care. Ask yourself, what lights you up outside of relationships? Maybe there's a hobby you've overlooked, friendships needing nurturing, or a self-care ritual you've postponed. Reclaim those joys. When you're content solo, you're not clinging to anyone else for happiness. And remember, life throws curveballs and relationships might ride waves. Emotional independence helps you surf those waves with grace without losing yourself. It's about drawing strength from chaos, knowing you can handle anything. Let me leave you with this. Emotional independence doesn't mean being distant. It's about being your complete, authentic self without expecting others to carry the weight of your happiness. Embrace this mindset and watch how you attract healthier, rewarding relationships while finding a deeper peace within. Ready to take back your emotional strength? Stay with this journey because we're about to elevate your self-worth even higher. Step 4. Shift from chasing to attracting naturally. Have you ever felt like you're carrying the whole relationship on your back? Maybe you're always the one sending the first text, planning all the dates, or keeping the convo alive. Exhausting, right? But here's the truth that's often overlooked. Guys need room to chase. It's not because they're not interested or lazy, but because desire grows when they put in effort. If you're always the one initiating, you're taking away his chance to miss you. Here's something real that people often forget. Relationships thrive on balance. If one of you is always giving while the other just chills, things get lopsided, and that's when resentment sneaks in. But when both of you equally invest, the connection deepens and becomes something truly special. So let one of the most appealing parts of you shine by giving him space to pursue you. Let's break down why this is so effective. Human nature is designed to value what we work for. Remember the last time you worked hard for something, a promotion, killer abs, How much sweeter was it because you earned it rather than having it handed to you? Relationships work the same way. Guys want to feel like they've earned your attention, not like it's just given away. But here's the tricky part. Giving space doesn't mean ignoring him or playing impossible to get. It's about letting him invest in you naturally. When he starts reaching out, making plans, or putting an effort to hang out, he feels accomplished, like you're worth the work. That's when true desire kicks in. Picture this. You've just started seeing someone new. The chemistry is on fire, but you're always the one to text first or make plans. Instead, why not take a step back? Give him room to miss you a bit and take initiative. Maybe he'll hit you up in a few hours, or maybe a day will pass. When he finally reaches out, respond warmly, but don't rush to fill the silence with too much enthusiasm. It's not about being distant. It's about showing you're confident enough to let things flow naturally. This whole concept leans into deep psychology, where scarcity creates value. When you're not always there, your time and attention become more precious. And the more he values it, the harder he'll work to keep it. It's a small but mighty shift that can change how he views you. But here's something to consider. Do you trust him enough to give him space? Sometimes that fear of losing someone makes us cling tighter, even when we know it's not helpful. Often, this fear comes from doubting our own worth. But when you fully embrace your value, you understand giving space is not a risk. It's a strategy. It's how you let the relationship breathe and flourish instead of stifling it with constant attention. So how can you start doing this? Begin by noticing how often you initiate contact. If you always text first, challenge yourself to wait and see if he reaches out. If you're always the one planning, step back and let him take the lead. This doesn't mean you stop engaging. It's about creating balance and allowing him to show his interest. But what if he doesn't make a move? If you give him space and he fades away, that tells you something crucial. It shows his interest wasn't as strong as what you deserve. And while that may sting, it's actually a blessing. It opens the door to attract someone who's eager to put in the effort, someone who sees your value and naturally chooses to pursue you. Here's a quick story to bring this home. My friend Sarah was dating this guy who seemed amazing in every way, but she was always the one driving the relationship. So instead of confronting him, she gave him space. She stopped texting first and dove into her own life, her friends, career, and passions. Within a week, his texts increased, he started planning dates, and really showed up for her like never before. Why? Because he realized what he stood to lose. Sarah's confidence and independence made her even more intriguing, and he rose to meet her energy. Here's a simple takeaway. Giving him space isn't about playing games, it's about respecting yourself. It's about creating a relationship where both of you are equally invested. Believe me, when you master this, it can change everything. If this resonates with you and you're ready to naturally attract rather than chase, give this video a thumbs up and comment number 1 below. Your support means everything and helps us reach more high-value women ready to embrace their power. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another game-changing video. We're just getting warmed up, and the next part is one you won't want to miss. Let's keep this going. Step 5. Embracing self-love and its magic in relationships. Hey, when's the last time you felt completely alive, totally lost in something that just brought you pure joy? Seriously, think about it. Those moments when you're so into a passion, a project, or even just a chill walk in nature that you totally forget your phone, forget to wonder if he's thinking about you. Those moments are gold. They remind you of one undeniable truth. You're the main character of your own story. Guys naturally gravitate towards high-value women who embody a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Why? Because confidence, passion, and independence are like magnets. A high-value woman who loves her life, who's deeply in sync with herself and the world she's crafting, doesn't just catch a guy's attention, she captures his soul. She becomes someone he admires, respects, and ultimately can't get enough of. But here's where we trip up. In the excitement of a new relationship or in trying to deepen what's already there, we can lose sight of our own lives. We start putting his interests above ours, tweaking our schedules to fit him in, and let go of the hobbies, friends, and goals that once lit us up. It's a subtle shift, but over time, it sends a clear message. My happiness depends on you. And honestly, that's a surefire way to lose both yourself and his admiration. So how do you steer clear of that trap? By consciously choosing to celebrate your own life, regardless of who's in it. It's not just about staying busy. It's about building a life so rich and fulfilling that you become magnetic without even trying. It's about embracing the core principles of Stoicism that teach us to find joy and tranquility within ourselves, not in the world outside. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine waking up and feeling genuinely pumped about your day. Not because he sent a good morning text, but because you're working on a project that thrills you. Maybe you've scheduled lunch with a friend who cracks you up, or you're off to a dance class where you can just lose yourself. You're not waiting around for his attention. You're out there living life at its best. And what happens when you live like this? Guys notice. They notice your vibe, your excitement for life, and your knack for creating happiness on your own terms. That makes them want to be a part of your world, not out of obligation, but because they're inspired by your light. But remember, celebrating your high-value life isn't just about drawing him in. It's about nurturing yourself and building a strong base of joy and self-love that no relationship can shake. When you're deeply connected to your passions and purpose, you become unshakable. You're no longer chasing validation or clinging to someone to fill the voids because you've already filled them yourself. This is where embracing the depths of Stoic psychology pays off. By focusing on your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you reclaim your power. You find fulfillment in what you can control, like your personal growth, creativity, and the relationships that truly count. And the more you celebrate your life, the more irresistible you become, not just to him, to everyone around you. Let me share a story. A friend of mine, Emily, used to base her happiness on her relationship status. When things were good, she was on cloud nine. But if her boyfriend pulled away or got swamped with work, she'd spiral into doubt. It wasn't until she started focusing on herself, launching a business, reconnecting with old friends, and diving into hobbies, that everything changed. Not only did she feel happier and more confident, but her boyfriend also became more attentive. Why? Because Emily's energy shifted. She stopped seeking validation and started radiating it. Let's be real though, celebrating your life as a high-value woman takes effort. It means setting boundaries, saying no to what's not in line with your values, and making time for what matters most to you. It might mean revisiting neglected passions or trying new things that push you out of your comfort zone. And yes, it might even mean facing the fear of solitude to rediscover your true happiness. Here's something to think about. If you took romantic relationships out of the picture, what would bring you joy? What would give your life meaning? Write those things down. Make a list of activities, people, and dreams that light you up and commit to them. Not for him, not to impress anyone else, but for you. When you celebrate your life, you send a powerful message. I am whole, I am enough, and I am worthy of love. Not for what I do for others, but for who I am. That kind of confidence is rare, and men can't help but be drawn to it. More importantly, it transforms how you see yourself, turning you into the best version of you. Remember, your life is a masterpiece in progress. Don't let anyone or any relationship dull your shine. Embrace your passions, nurture your dreams, and celebrate every moment of this incredible journey you're on. That's the kind of energy that not only attracts love, but keeps it thriving. And trust me, when he sees you living life with this joy and purpose, he'll do everything he can to be part of it. Step 6. Why boundaries are the cornerstone of respect. Time to chat about something super important but often overlooked. Boundaries. Seriously, when was the last time you set a boundary in your relationship and stuck to it? Be honest. Ever lowered your standards just to keep the peace or because you were scared of losing someone? If so, you're not flying solo on this. But here's a wake-up call that might surprise you. Boundaries don't push guys away. They actually draw the right ones closer. Boundaries aren't barriers. They're more like signposts saying, this is what I value and this is how I expect to be treated. And when you stand by them, you're not just looking out for yourself. You're showing him that you're a high-value woman who respects her own worth. Guys are hardwired to admire strength and clarity. Nothing showcases that like a woman who knows her boundaries and doesn't compromise them for anyone. But let's get real for a second. A lot of women worry that setting boundaries might make them come off as too difficult or high maintenance. Ever thought, if I speak up, he might think I'm too demanding and he'll bounce? You're not alone in that. But the truth is, the guy who's worth it will respect your boundaries, not hate on them. Actually, boundaries are what make relationships thrive because they set the stage for mutual respect. So why are boundaries so essential? At the heart of it, boundaries are all about guarding your emotional well-being. They stop you from stretching yourself too thin and make sure you're giving and getting an equal measure. When you set a boundary, you're saying, I value myself and I expect you to value me too. It's not selfish. It's healthy. Here's a scenario for you. Imagine you're seeing a guy who's always canceling plans last minute. Maybe he's got valid reasons, or maybe he's just being flaky. Either way, it leaves you feeling frustrated and unimportant. The old you might let it slide, hoping he'll change. But the high-value version of you, she sets a boundary and calmly says, I get that things come up, but I need reliability in a relationship. If you can't commit to plans, it's better to let me know up front. So what happens next? One of two things. Either he steps up and starts respecting your time, or he doesn't, and you walk. Either way, you win because you're prioritizing your own respect over his approval. This is where Dark Stoic Psychology really kicks in. By sticking to your boundaries, you create a dynamic where he either rises to meet your standards or risks losing you. But let's be real, setting boundaries isn't a cakewalk. It takes guts to say no, especially if you're used to people-pleasing. It can be totally uncomfortable, even scary, to risk conflict or rejection. But let me ask you this. What's scarier, a moment of discomfort or staying in a relationship where you feel invisible and unappreciated? Boundaries are also deeply connected to Stoicism, which teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. You can't control how someone reacts to your boundaries, but you can control whether or not you hold the line. By doing this, you're taking ownership of your happiness and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. So how do you start laying down boundaries in your relationships? Begin by figuring out your non-negotiables. What behaviors or situations make you feel disrespected or drained? Write them down and get crystal clear on what you're willing to endure and what you're not. Then practice communicating those boundaries calmly and confidently. Use I statements like, I feel disrespected when plans are canceled at the last minute, rather than accusatory language like, you never keep your word. But here's the key. Boundaries only work if you enforce them. If you set a limit and let it slide without consequence, you're basically saying your words don't mean much. Consistency is everything. When you follow through, you show him and yourself that you mean what you say. Let me share a little story about a client of mine, Rachel. She was in a relationship with a guy who often made hurtful jokes at her expense. At first, she laughed it off, thinking it was harmless, but over time, those jokes took a toll on her confidence. When she finally confronted him, she said, I don't find those comments funny, and I won't tolerate being disrespected. His reaction? He apologized and stopped the behavior immediately. Why? Because Rachel's boundary made it clear that she valued herself, and he valued her more because of it. Boundaries aren't just about protecting yourself, they're about setting the tone for how others treat you. And here's the kicker. When you enforce your boundaries, you inspire him to step into his best self. Men respect women who challenge them to be better, and boundaries are one of the most effective ways to do that. If this resonates with you and you're ready to start setting boundaries in your life, go ahead and like this video and drop a 1 in the comments below. Your engagement helps us reach more women who need this message and keeps this empowering conversation alive. And if you haven't joined this community yet, hit that subscribe button and come along on this journey of self-discovery and transformation. You already made it this far. Let's dive into the final act where everything comes together in the most powerful way yet. Stay with me because you don't want to miss it. Step 7. How to keep him engaged without playing games. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you left a guy wanting more? Not in a way that plays with emotions, but in a way that piques his curiosity, fuels his interest, and makes him eager to really get to know you. If you're always laying everything out, your thoughts, your plans, your whole story, you might be missing out on one of attraction's most potent tools, mystery. Guys are naturally drawn to the unknown. It's not that they want to be confused, it's that curiosity naturally fuels their emotional investment. When there's something to discover, they're motivated to dig deeper, to connect on a more meaningful level, and to earn the privilege of truly knowing the high-value woman that you are. That's why the art of embracing a bit of mystery is so powerful. It doesn't just catch his eye, it keeps him engaged. But here's the thing, mystery isn't about hiding who you are or pretending, it's about pacing. It's about letting him discover the layers of your personality, your interests, and your emotions gradually, rather than giving away your entire story up front. Think of it like reading a captivating book. Would it be as satisfying if the ending was revealed on page 1? No way. The excitement comes from the journey, the twists and turns, the gradual unfolding of the story. So how can you bring that same intrigue into your relationships? First, hold off on oversharing too quickly. While it's natural to bond over shared experiences, doing so too soon can overwhelm the connection. Instead, let him ask the questions. Give him the chance to earn your trust and draw out your stories. When he works for your sincerity, he values it even more. For instance, imagine you're on a date and the topic of past relationships comes up. Instead of diving into a complete narrative, keep it simple. I've learned a lot and I'm grateful for those experiences. That shows you're mature, insightful, and grounded without spilling every detail right away. And guess what? It leaves him curious to know more. This principle roots itself in Stoic psychology, focusing on regulating how much of yourself you reveal. When you choose selectively what to share and when, you maintain control over the dynamic. You're not holding back out of fear or manipulation. You're creating space for intrigue and emotional investment. When he feels there's always more to learn about you, he's hooked. But remember, mystery isn't just about words. It's also about how you live. Guys are attracted to women who own rich, independent lives filled with passions and interests beyond the relationship. When you're busy chasing your career, diving into hobbies, and cherishing your friends, you naturally exude a vibe of intrigue. He starts to think, what's she up to? What drives her? What's next for her? And these questions draw him in closer. This is where the idea of Stoicism shines. By focusing on your own growth and happiness, you foster emotional self-sufficiency that's incredibly appealing. You're not asking him to fill every part of your life, you're inviting him to be part of it. That subtle shift changes everything. Let me share a quick story. A friend of mine, Mia, used to share everything in her relationships. She thought it was the way to prove her worth, but she noticed guys seemed less engaged over time. So she decided to try something new. Instead of over-explaining, she started asking them questions, listening more, and only sharing bits of her thoughts. The change was amazing. Suddenly, guys were leaning in, opening up, and genuinely valuing her presence more. By embracing mystery, Mia totally transformed her dating scene and felt more confident than ever. But let's be real, doesn't embracing mystery mean you're holding back who you truly are? Not at all. It's not about hiding, it's about inviting. You're still genuine, still yourself, but you're letting the connection develop naturally instead of rushing it. This dynamic lets both of you feel excited and involved rather than overwhelmed or bored. Here's a practical tip. Next time you're about to send a long text explaining your feelings or plans, pause. Ask yourself, am I leaving room for curiosity? Maybe send a concise, thoughtful message instead that invites him to dig deeper. Let the conversation flow without trying to steer it too much. You'll be amazed at how a small change like this can shift the vibe between you two. Embracing mystery is all about mastering that balance of openness and restraint. It's about sharing enough to spark his interest, but holding a bit back to keep him engaged. Live with this balance and you create a depth that men find irresistible. You become the woman who's not just memorable, but unforgettable. And here's the kicker. Mystery isn't something you fake. It's something you inherently are. Every high-value woman has layers of complexity, strength, and beauty ready to be uncovered. By pacing how you reveal these layers, you give him the opportunity to truly earn your trust and affection. And when it's earned, it's cherished deeply. Remember, attraction isn't about revealing the end. It's about letting him savor the story. Embrace your mystery and watch him lean closer, captivated by the journey of discovering all that you are. That's the real power of intrigue, and it's a power you've always had. Use it wisely. You've reached the end of this journey, and now you hold the keys to transforming not just how men see you, but how you see yourself. These 7 steps, feeling confident enough to walk away, valuing your attention, nurturing emotional independence, giving him space to pursue, celebrating your own life, setting boundaries, and embracing your enigmatic side, aren't about playing games or following outdated dating advice. They're about stepping into your power as a high-value woman who knows her worth. Let me ask you this. Which of these steps resonates with you most? Where do you see the chance to make changes in your relationships, or even more crucially, in the relationship you have with yourself? Here's the beautiful truth. When you embody these principles, you don't just captivate him, you become the best version of yourself, and that energy is magnetic. It attracts love, respect, and admiration effortlessly because it stems from a place of authenticity and self-worth. These ideas are deeply rooted in classic wisdom like Stoicism and advanced psychology. They remind us that true power isn't about controlling others, it's about mastering ourselves. When you take charge of your happiness, your emotions, and your boundaries, you become unstoppable. You become the kind of high-value woman who doesn't need to chase love but naturally attracts it. So what's your next move? Start small and pick one step to focus on this week. Maybe it's giving him space, setting a boundary you've been avoiding, or diving into a passion project that makes your heart sing. Whatever it is, commit to it wholeheartedly and watch how your energy shifts, not just in your relationships, but in every area of your life. And remember, you're not on this journey alone. This community is here to support you, cheer you on, and celebrate your growth. If this video resonated with you, I encourage you to like it, subscribe to the channel, and share your emotions in the comments below. Your voice matters, and your story can inspire others. Thank you for being here, for investing in yourself, and for stepping into your power as a high-value woman. Here's to creating the love and life you deserve. Until next time, stay confident, stay radiant, and remember, the best is yet to come. Catch you soon.